Bueno, hablemos de Fade ahora en poder escucharlo en audio, ¿no? I think that I saw the play here in Chicago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
saw it at it was with Teatro Vista and Victory Gardens.
yeah. I remember I saw the play, so I was like, oh my God, now hearing the story in a different angle, in a different setting. Sorry that I'm going in English. I don't know why I'm doing this. You know that I speak Spanish as
However you want.
whatever feel comfortable right now. So tell me, what was like the first, the initial thought that you had when you had the opportunity of seeing, listening, not seeing, listening your play now. Your
To the audio play. Well, I directed it, so I listened to it the whole time, and I cast it. So I was with it the whole time, but I wrote it back in like 2013 or something, because it was my first year as a TV writer. I was living in the best city in the country, Chicago, and I was like trying to, do my theater, my playwriting thing over there, but it doesn't feed you very well. So I came out here in a first try, and like the first few meetings, and I got this job on Devious Maids, and I was not having a great time. It was really not just culturally, but the format. I had never, they work with a Final Draft is this software I'd never seen. They do outlines first. I just like write holistically my plays. Used to write now I have to write outlines, like it was like and it was a lot of talking, and it was really excruciating the way we were making story, and then culturally there were some not so great things in that room. I was the only Latina in there for a while, until Gloria Calderon Kellett came, and became like fast friends, like besties. But during that time, it was like really bad. And I was in a writer's workshop every Wednesday for the Mark Taper Forum for Center Theater Group here, which is a big theater company. So every Wednesday I would go in there, everyone would share pages, and I would just complain about my job. And finally, seriously, weeks into it, somebody was like, can you just write about that and not Lupe Vélez? Because I was supposed to be writing about Lupe Vélez. And just write about that instead of complaining all the time, at least put it in paper. And I was like, damn, like it was one of the, the other participants of the workshop who said that. And the next time I had some pages and like that, and the play grew. And then I didn't finish it then. Then when I went away and that job stopped, it stopped being therapy, because it was therapy at first. And then it became its own thing. So now Fade is, the base was that first job, but then it became a thing, it's a play about class and betrayal, and, and it became about that. But that's not, I did make friends with two janitors that I would stay till like 11 p.m. and we would talk. They would tell me like stuff about LA, because I didn't know LA, so that did happen. The only two Latinas that I saw before Gloria came were these two janitors. And so it was like at Disney, and it might be a little different now, but 2013, it was that, but actually it's not that different. We're still here in small numbers. There's more access slightly, but we're still here in small numbers. But yeah, so then the play had a lot of, not a lot, but like some productions. First at Denver Theater Center, in New York there was one, in Chicago there was one with Teatro Vista and the former Victory Gardens, when Che Yu was artistic director. And it was great to see it like kind of grow. And then when Audible wanted to do it for Audible Theater, it was so exciting, because I'm like, I've been wanting to direct it anyway. And there's a perfect cast too. Although I've had really good casts in the past, but like there's people that I've been talking to that I worked in TV with that wanted to, so it's Carla Souza and Carlos Miranda that worked on Vida, and with Carla I worked on How to Get Away with Murder. So I'm, getting to know some TV actors that also have theater training, because we all do all sorts of things. Anyway, so that's sort of how it came to be. And it was nice to, during the pandemic, somebody was talking about me adapting it for a film, because it was like contained. You could do it during the pandemic, like you could, and I'm like, let's have a reading. And I had a reading with these two actors, and I was like, oh, they're so good. They're so good, And then it was the Audible play presented itself. I was like, that's what it is, And then it was fantastic to get back to, like, even though it's just, in one medium, it's not like cameras or a stage, but it was such a great medium to do an oral experience of this audio play, it was like it sort of freed you in lots of ways. So now I'm like, listen, they released a bunch of other ones along with mine, and I've been listening to all of them too, because I just really like, I guess, like old school radio plays. They used to
radionovelas.
Y en Inglaterra todavía lo hacen. They have actual radio here. Yes, it's like a big thing in the BBC radio.
Like Porfirio Cadena, and Calimán from Mexico, for Porfirio Cadena.
Claro. Por siempre.
Yes, actually, yes.
Sí, me acuerdo, no sé cuál escuchábamos con mi abuelita. O sea, sí.
Porfirio
Cadena mucho, porque
y Calimán and Porfirio Cadena were like that. I don't know, they were there for years in the Mexican radio, like years.
Novelas, sí.
La radionovela.
Y la música, o sea, como órgano o algo así, ¿no? Sí, like that art form is so accessible, and I really liked it. I was like, oh my God, do I want to do all my plays?
That'd be amazing, because now that we're talking, I'm having all the time that I talk to you, it's like I'm having a deja vu, because I'm being kind of part of the process, not part of the process, but I'm being there as a witness or as a reporter, writing about your play since, oh my God, like almost 20 years ago.
20, yeah. I mean, really.
Yep. So seeing, like, I imagine Fate here, I saw it here in Chicago, but I'm pretty sure that it was completely different in LA, even if it's the same story, because it's a different actors playing the characters. Sure. And now I just listened to a part. It's a transformation of your work. It's like a new view, now it's a completely different media, but that the message is there. And I think that it's more powerful when you have it as an audio, as a radionovela, as I will say it.
I think so.
It gives you the opportunity of also, like, your brain is working in trying to do the scenarios.
Yeah.
And the scenes in your mind. And it's
and you're imagining, actually you cast it in your mind.
Exactly.
You do the set dressing of what the office looks like, their room, what, you imagine the kiss, you imagine, like, all of it is like, it really, that's the experience of audio theater. It makes you, I do think it makes your brain work more in this way that's really satisfying, because you're more in control of the image in a way, because there is no image, so I do love the experience.
It's so interesting that we are going back to a value form of content, a value form of that we have been left behind, and especially now with all the podcasts.
Exactly.
As a radio, no, I'm keep saying radionovela, because that's how I pick it, like a radionovela, but it's also helped to not only to spread the message in a different way, but also connect in a different way. And it's pretty powerful.
Yeah, I do think we're in the podcast culture now. It's so weird. The first time I heard a podcast, and what I didn't understand, podcast, what is that? I don't understand that word, but it was that Serial. Remember the original Serial? The about oh my God, they just let him, they're not going to try him or something. Anyway, I just read, but anyway, it was the original Serial, and the experience was so, because it's different than radio. There's not the commercial. Well, in some podcasts there are commercials, but but it's pure. There's a purity, and I think during the pandemic, a lot of us discovered as company, they were our companions. There were these podcasts, and that the advent of the scripted podcast, I like more than this, because this is a play that used to be a play, and now it's, but there's serialized scripted podcasts now, and people want to consume storytelling in that way. That's really interesting, when you think, oh, we're in the age of television or whatever, it's the stories, these podcast stories are really coming through,
It's bringing me back to the Orson Welles experience. I think that was in the 40s, the War of, what's the name of
Oh,
that?
War of the Worlds?
War of Wars. Remember, it was like a hysteria
Like, yeah, hysteria.
because of the power of words. I think that we are so used to see the words with an image all the time or in
Yeah,
a on a screen that we are forgetting the power of just hearing the words, and that the
yeah,
words are the ones, as I say, words make the content. It's not only the image, because as you say, you imagine it first, you have like each scene, each dialogue in your mind, and then you just translate that to images, and now you're
yeah,
going back. So it's like the purest of the purest of the
yeah,
purest.
it is. Yeah, it's like how we started this whole thing. You know, radio is how we started.
Exactly.
Going back to that, to early 20th century. I don't know. I really liked it, the experience, you know, and the experience in the recording studio was just really pure. I don't know how else to say it. Like it was like just it was really pure, you know.
And did you have the opportunity to choose this one?
Yeah.
Fate in particular was like the one that you wanted to have, like
Yeah,
the.
it's two-hander. It's
Mhm.
it's in one set. I thought we could you know, create this a soundscape that you could translate in your mind to images. Like, and I think we can't, you know, it was not that like that complicated. Even when you stage it, it's just one set, two actors, you know. So that seemed like the one. And like I said, I've been wanting to direct it. Because a lot of times people, like when directors have said of this play, I've been like, she talks like you talk. She talks a lot. And she talks around in circles and she talks like you talk. Well, I'm like, I would like to direct someone to talk like I talk. And so and Carla's just brilliant. And she's very in control of her, you know, faculties. Um, and it was just so nice to work with them. It really was. It really was. I was like, should we do the film version? Like, what should we do?
Maybe that's next for you, Tanya, as one of the Latinas that is being in the industry, that really having like the opportunity of portraying the voices, not the like a different the voice that is more connected to the Mexican American, to the Latina community now. In what stage are we there? Are we there yet? Of course not, but
Oh no. We have from when we met and when
of course.
where I started. Now, for me personally, obviously something has gone well. There's been some progress in my career, but us as Latinas, I feel like we are in the same or a similar space. We're just more aware of it. But if you look at the numbers, they haven't moved. Like the numbers of people, like we make like 5% of the writers in Hollywood, you know, that we're almost 20% of the population. It's has not gotten better. We get a show or two and then they take it away, you
Yes.
know, like so like it's like it doesn't make like one
But
step forward, one step back.
it's not from the community. Sometimes the stories are not like portraying from people from the community, and that's not appreciation. That's like kind of appropriation in a certain way.
Absolutely. No, but that's always been like that. So like for the 120 years of Hollywood, for the most part, they've handled our narrative. They have like they meaning the dominant culture has handled it. We have not been at the helm of our stories. We right now I co-started this initiative called Dear Hollywood. We just had an event last week. And it has 5 pillars that we're basically going in there and be like, this is how you can do better, Hollywood. And the number one is no stories about us without us. No stories about us without us. Like, let us tell the story. Even if you, like in television, sometimes two showrunners are partnered. If it's about largely about a community, then you need to have that POV at the helm too, you know. Also, let us tell stories that are not about us, because we're steeped in the dominant culture in the way that you know, because also a lot of Latine see, I don't care, I like being Latina storyteller. Like I've never ever, like when people are like, I don't want to be, you know, limited or whatever, I love us, and I'll never get tired of telling our stories. They're so varied. Right now I'm hopefully very soon going to hopefully start to basically I'm doing a TV show about 2 Mexican American best friends in London, in love with a British indie folk musician. That's just centering us in a world stage. it is very much a Latina story. I mean, they are walking around, they're as Tejanas in London, you know, that you can't take away the Latinidad of that, you know, their perspective. It's just, we haven't seen us in like a European capital like that, you know, and that I feel like we just need to also be recentering what we think of an immigrant or a migrant story is for, you know,
Exactly.
and where, you know, so like,
because it has been the same story, the immigrant story for years. It is still there because it's still happening, but there's a different immigrant everywhere, not only in the United States, as you say.
Always have been, right?
Exactly.
Oh, but it's about what the dominant culture and who those gatekeepers in charge want to see. I think they've only wanted to see one type of immigrant story, like this immigrant trauma porn thing that, you know, we cross and we are so what, like in Fade, it is an immigrant story. She is an immigrant. Exactly. She was born in Mexico, raised in Mexico a certain way, he says. You were raised in Mexico a certain type of way, he says. But that's an immigrant story. And it's also an American story because he's like third generation American. Like he's American. That's as American as you get. Except like, what does it mean? Yeah, because then you're playing with class and stuff. And it's like it's your notion of what Latinidad means because we're putting class in there, you know?
Well, thank you, Tania. I can speak with you in English and Spanish, Spanglish forever, but we need to wrap up.
Okay, well, it was lovely seeing you. Sorry about earlier. I'm like, not
worry, we're on time. And thank you for having me in English now. We are so used to having in Spanish.
I know, in Spanish. Just was like,
I don't know. I don't know. It
felt, maybe I'm more agringada. I don't know. Because
maybe now, I don't know.